back to my channel, Pixelblazz. It's been a while. Thank you for all who've been sticking around, believing in my work. Sorry, it's been a while, 3 or 4 weeks. I'm trying to prioritize my, I don't know, my art, my work. I really want this to go off. But I really appreciate you guys encourage me and sticking with me. So this one's gonna be on a character I'm doing a fan art. This is back in my childhood, my arcade days. One of my favorite, fighting games, Street Fighter, and a new one just came out, Street Fighter 6. I'm very happy with the style, the way it looks, the way it plays. I think this was going to be out for a while. One of the fun characters like play, obviously you can see Blanka if you guys ever play. He's always been a fun character. Green beast living in the jungle. And I like the design, the way they gave him, more of like an ape-like. You can see it in the face. I haven't designed it, obviously. But it's more of a classic looking, but with the new design of the clothes, because he's wearing overalls in the game. That's pretty cool. And you have these little Blanka, I don't know, stuffed bear or something like that, as he uses it as a weapon, which I thought was pretty cool. Here you go. I always start off with like shapes, and try to, simplify it, to get close. And I think I started with 3 spheres, right? Right here. And he have a pretty, I wouldn't say blocky, but he got a pretty, square jaw. Trying to get that in. I think I still got the spheres separate for a while, and then I started to merge them. You always want to start off real simple with the shapes, trying to get it around to the shape of the character. I'm using mostly the move tool. Sometimes I mask out areas to make it easier to move around edges, pull out certain areas like the nose, a little bit of the mouth area as well, cheekbones. For this one, I kept it simple. I did only in Voxel sculpting. I didn't read to apologize or anything like that, but there's a difference. I feel like if you're trying to do a lot more details, it's better to read to apologize. Otherwise, at a certain point, you're gonna run into certain areas where it's gonna be hard to sculpt certain minor details in certain areas. Well, for this, I'm more of a stylized, so I'm trying to keep it simple. And sometimes I gotta remember that when I'm doing that, otherwise it's gonna get a little frustrating. Not getting the look how I want it. You'll see later on. Most times I try to get the face right before I start on the rest of the body. But this one's gonna be a bust. It's gonna be from a little lower than the chest area. I want to say probably halfway the rib cage. So it's not going to be a full body. You won't see the full arms and whatnot. But I'm doing this for, I want to do this for a 3D print. Yeah, now I'm starting with the shoulders. Trying to get the general shape. He's very, I want to make him very bulky, muscular. For him. I couldn't decide what I want his lips to look like. As far as that, or how I wanted to pose the lips. I'm not gonna do it as the drawing I did. It's gonna be more of a classic Blanka, shirtless. If I was doing the full body, maybe I would do the overalls. Um, Still working on the face area. Um, Jaw. And I think I was starting to get more satisfied when I get to the brow, making it more pop out some. I'm the mouth area. You'll see me go around it in the jaw area a lot, trying to uh go over it multiple times, making it look different. I wasn't too satisfied, which was always the case. As you keep going sculpting and whatnot. Well, for me, um, yeah, I'm doing more of the cheek area. It's starting to come along now. I placed the ears just to give me more reference to far as the face. I haven't sculpted the ears yet. Ears can be a little tedious for me. Um, Sometimes I get it something off when I sculpt them. Sometimes I don't know what you call it. The area below the mouth. Trying to get it more almost like some of the classic Street Fighter designs. They always have these little those areas of around the mouth prominent where you can see the muscular around the faces and whatnot. Starting to work on the teeth. Um, the teeth was a little tricky. I was trying to simplify it. So I think at the time I decided not to have his mouth pose as it was mouth wide open. Uh, you'll see his you'll see his teeth, so his bottom and top teeth. Um, I still haven't figured a way how to, an easier way or a way to do the teeth in a good sound way. But I believe I'm doing individually, then make a copy of that one till I get like a full roll. And I did use the curve modifier, so it make copies as you do the curve in. And then from there, I'll um, finalize it, validate it, but in a different way where I could select individual and reshape each one from each other to make it a little more easier. Yeah, and you won't be able to see the all the way back, so I won't do the full row of teeth. And I'm trying to make it where it's tight as far as the teeth. Obviously it's not gonna look as anomaly correct with the rows of teeth. But what I'm trying to do is when I do the bottom row teeth to have it closely tight, you know, so there won't be no gaps. Um, when you're doing models for a 3D print, you want it watertight as possible. So you don't want no areas where it's gonna have some open areas where the resin is gonna collect and pool. You definitely want it like an open area. Um, if you're not trying to have that, you know, open. So later on, you'll see me put like a shape of like behind the teeth. As well, I'll use it as for the gums, but to make sure it's not gonna have any open area in the mouth because I did make an open area in the mouth. Um, so you want that watertight. Say, it's funny when I was working on the model. Um, I believe it took me. I didn't do this in one day. It took me some days, several days. Busy with other things, you know, I got to deal with. But as I was going along, I believe that one day there was an update, but you'll see some little difference um further along in the video. Um, the updates for this app has been great. It's been pretty much all of them been useful. It's been nonstop. The guy's been really great with this app. And the more shoulder areas, I've been doing a lot of pulling, pushing, as far as with the shape. Less sculpting. You can see, it's gonna be here and there. But I've been going on with the move tool. Later on you'll see me use the what's the name of the tool? I believe it's gonna be called not the snake tool, where you can easily pull like a shape out. And it, you know, it's probably pretty good for doing like teeth. The drag tool. So mostly I've been using the move tool thus far. I'm doing the chest back area, pulling out areas, pulling out shapes. Um, and I'm trying to get better putting the reference in the background. Um, and I'm thinking I'm going to do a video on the things I use to help um, for far as my models I use prepare for it. Also for say my drawings when I use for Procreate. It's pretty nice and decent, good apps to use with these guys. And I think you guys will find it very helpful as well. You can see sometimes, like I did in the shoulder, like the back area of the shoulder. You can see that line edge I put in there. I use the crease tool or the crease brush. Um, just to draw out. There you go. I try to pose the character too. Does Blanka E have he slumps over, like almost like an ape. He's a beastman, I guess you would call it. Um, yeah, so I wanted to give a little pose to him. Just a little bit. This is not gonna be the full body. Doesn't have straight, um, in a straight pose. I would say. I would say working with just voxel sculpting. Um, Sometimes when you merge areas or even put a higher voxel count, certain areas will, I don't know, when you do any shapes with creases or anything like that, it does get you might lose that area either by being smoothed out, or sometimes you can checkbox it and where it'll stay the shape. But as you push further along with the voxel count, some areas will get pixelated, which can be frustrating at times, and you have to go over the area again. At least for me, I really had to find any trick that to help with that. Besides, versus when you do, say, I get to this point, have everything how I want to look. Um, if I did the ear area, everything merged to the body, the head, the neck, the rest of the body, the arms, and satisfy how the overall shape, simple shape of the body. Um, you can say I could go in for the details then. But if you read topology, bring it into say Cozyblanket or anything else that you want to read topology, the model in, um, have a nice flow to it. When you bring it back in, it'll be much easier and more easier to adjust areas if you go back into a low poly and then go further into the higher count, the multi-res, and you won't get that pixelation in certain tight areas, say around the mouth, like you can see right there. Even when you move in closer in the mouth area, the cheek area, it won't lose that detail as you start to put in the details in when you go to a higher count and you go back and forth from low poly to a high poly. And then if you get to a higher count and keep going to a higher count, you won't lose that. That's one of the biggest advantages of doing that. As far as that um, technique, I was going a little different with his teeth. He don't have that much of a long teeth. Oops. I forgot to edit that part out. It was only a quick second, so it yeah, much for harm. I missed that. Um, but yeah, he have long teeth, but not this long for his bottom canines. I think you call them. But I'm going a little stylized with this guy. Um, gonna have him pretty much longer teeth. Because in the game, if he one of his throws is I don't know if it's the same from all the Street Fighters the ones he's in. He'll jump on your back and start biting you. Um, playing against someone that plays Blanka, you might get a little irritated when they keep doing it. For the good old days, Street Fighter. It's still going strong, which I love. And there's some other games that keep going strong. To say Mortal Kombat, but always a bigger Street Fighter fan. Don't get me wrong, I like the other fighting games, but I don't know. I think it is one of those games that started my journey for art. Tried to kickstart it. Going in the air doing that, and you'll see later on in the video what I mean. Little tight areas like this, it you scope in details, and then when you merge stuff or go in the higher count of the voxel mash, it's gonna lose its some of its details because I went up in the higher count for some reason. Voxel it when you put on the grid, Voxel have these weird pattern shape. It doesn't have a consistent flow based on your model, so it's gonna have some area, little spot, just in these spot random areas that get a little dense in certain areas. It goes sometimes look like it's going in spiral almost. Particularly when you go in the higher count. But things like this, you do want to start off with a lower count with the basic shapes. Either you're starting with a sphere or a cube or anything like that. Well, for character only. The top eyelid, I believe I'd never merged that. Um, I'm gonna do another video using this guy how to it's gonna be more on prepping um certain areas, I believe, for the character, as far as like having certain areas merged together without merging them into Nomad. Because with the voxel, sometimes it's better to have certain things or certain parts of the character separate. Because as soon as you merge it, if you're at a really high count, say when you put it on 700 or something like that, it's getting close to that cap where you can't push any further along. And as soon as you merge it, you might either get a crash or it just it's not gonna look as smooth and detailed when you merge that area to it. And you'll see there's some areas, the eyeballs. I believe for this guy, I had the top lid separate. I believe, the teeth, inside his mouth, the teeth area, and the hairs, from his head to his chest. Cause Monkey is pretty hairy. Yeah, the teeth area, I kind of ran into some little trouble areas on figuring out what I did. Because sometimes everything doesn't work as you plan. Like I did one side and I want to do the mirror area where you have an equal. At at one point, I don't know what I did. But I had to adjust it. To get it back there. Even though I was working on the teeth, and I think the longer canines, I was keep adjusting them, adjusting to my liking. I was satisfied. I'm pretty sure it was an easier way of me without any struggles to do that. Maybe you should have just started with a sphere and just easy. Another way it probably been easier for us the longer canine is probably use the curve or the tube modifier. Would have been more easier to get that shape, have one in large and the other one going to into a smaller area and easily curve it. I believe I did that in one of the past model videos. Doing a little detail in the brow area a little bit. Sometimes I have to try hard not to push that much as far as finer details in the lower voxel count, because otherwise when I go even higher, I'm gonna lose the details in this. Not the point to doing that at that stage. Here I'm giving more details on the jaw area. I believe it changed it a couple of times. Did a little details on the lips as well. I'm doing the chest area. Some areas I use the sphere to give that little indentation in certain areas. Sculpting in some of the abs, a little bit of the ribs areas. Gonna pull it out more. Overall, I was satisfied with this model. And believe it or not, in the Street Fighter 6, the Blanka in there, he's really bulky. He's really like big. Almost like Zangief big. But still Zangief is still bigger by his height. But he's, I would say, he's almost as bulky as Zangief. Just with longer arms, I believe. But I like how they make him, I don't know, look like he's been earning some money. Got overalls, and he got a little on the sides, a little we call it taper, fade on the edges on the side, shaved. His hairstyle got more of a style now. Like I said, I like it. It's pretty dope. That when you have your neck bending backwards a little bit, some people have that, loose skin, or when you bend back, it's tight, but you'll have some, some skin poking out. Pretty much everybody, I believe. And I think some people, depend on the shape of the certain people's back of their head. They get a little more than one row. I'm gonna give him that muscular guy. I should make his neck even more muscular. Put on the platform. In the pretty much all of them, I think his neck area is kind of a little short and stubby, I believe. A little bit. I give him a long neck hair. For the most part of the video, I did keep his arms separate from the main body. It's a lot more easier for me to sculpt and shape it without merging it at that point. And you see most of the forearms where you see me sculpting is much easier. Only areas I sculpt, and pretty much the rest of the areas I have been pulling and pushing, move, brush. I did go over some areas to and later on to sculpt in some areas. Yeah, I'm never satisfied. It's probably I don't know what you call it, default of me of overthinking sometimes, over critical thinking on my work all the times, not being satisfied. It took me a very long while, a long time to get myself into a point where okay. This is a good stopping point. That it's done, is satisfied. You know. Um. Also, the biggest thing, as far as before that, I would say, after done with school, art school, of getting to that doneness, you know, to that point. Because some people, I won't say all, as far as being an artist, the certain situations you're in and whatnot, but you're doing work, but getting to the point to really start working on your craft, procrastination is really big. It's a hard thing to deal with. This is in many different cases as far as what you're dealing with that. But yeah, I think that's, if you have that, if you're dealing with that, it is hard to figure out. Just get to a point to yourself where you just do it. Just start it and get it done. Keep working on it until you're satisfied of the progress till you get to that the temple of doneness. Uh, Even if it's just a hobby to a craft, you want to do this for a living, particularly for a living. I think you have to struggle with that if you have that, to get over with that, and try not to let it come back once you get over it. The hair, I don't know why I left this in, but I wanted to show a little bit of it. I did edit a certain good amount of it as far as the struggle with doing the hair. I wasn't sure what how I wanted to do it, and I was starting with the tubes. Because I was thinking just fill it out with the tubes and then fill it out with the I don't know, with the spirit, just to obvious. That would be hard to print. That would be very to print out and to clean the area, and it wouldn't make no point as far as having that type of design in there. As far as if you want to print that out and going for color, you know, on how you want to color, painting or airbrushing and whatnot. And then as far as doing printing, it'll be some trouble areas because of the pulling. For this character, it wouldn't make no sense to do it as far as that way. And you know, at this point I was struggling how trying to figure this out. And I was doing groups of rows, uh, doing that, and you can see how it looks right now. Um, I do want to have his sides look like his shaved area, but at a point, I started over. Well, not basically all the way over. I just basically cut those. I trimmed those off. Forget about it. It wasn't worth it. So I pulled the whole area out and then sculpt like it was some hair and do little certain areas where I have some pulled out with the drag brush. Yeah, there's a lot of work, and I forget it. Just cut it out. probably should have edited this more out. And you can see one half of, or a half of what area I was doing, because after that I was gonna mirror it. Yeah, and I have to mask some areas so as I was pushing, pulling with the move tool, certain areas won't get moved as well. That's another thing as far as something like this. Difficult to kind of design. Yeah, there you go. I just have to get it. Yeah, and I use the drag tool. And you can see going back until I was satisfied how I want it to look. Because his hair is pretty long. And because of those little shapes where I cut it off, it kind of gave me a happy accident to give it when I pulled those areas out, little long hair pulling out. Got it satisfied. I do have this little peak on the middle of his head, kind of where it was kind of cool, so I just left that. Work with it. Stuff like this, I want to make sure, not to have necessary areas where it's very dented in. Have it come out some, because as you print, depending on how you rotate your model in the program or app you're setting up for print, not to have areas that's gonna be pulling of resin. If you're doing resin printing, 3D printing, versus the spool, because that might cause some extra layers to you don't want to pull in and cure, in hard to reach areas to clean, even though you put in a pool of alcohol or anything like that. This is going to be some trouble areas to deal with. And then you have to set up supports into that, and for sure you're going to have to do some in those dent areas, and it could be very difficult task of working with that, which it still might be, looking at it right now, but it's not going to be as much, I would think and hope. Well, I'm still new to the 3D printing, but it's very cool. Really into it. So I'm probably should do it, but I haven't done it in this video. But the bottom of it, I pretty much I should have it touch the back of his back, of the bottom of the hair to touch his back, so that when the print is not open. Otherwise, that would be a trouble area to get to in print. I try to learn as much as far as setting up for 3D print. And then what people look for as far as like how they would like their stuff to set up for printing. Some people would like the head to separate from the body so they could get easier to paint on the head. But it's a lot, and some people like certain things. So you're not gonna satisfy everybody, but they'll be satisfied with the model. That's obviously the main goal. I think I was seeing a video where someone had the model set up where the hair is separate from the model, and later on they glue it on after they painted, I believe. I believe there's very few of that. few. Yeah, it can be very wrong as the number. That little brown area you saw at the bottom of it, you want to be careful of that when you push and pull stuff and trim and cut areas with the brushes, the trim brushes and cut brushes. I'll say specifically with the trim brush, because what it does is it'll push the area in of like separating with the trim brush. The other, oh, I think it's called cut. No, split. But it actually cut. But it does like this little weird pixel area would look like it's been pushed in. So probably both. Um, you'll see this color, different color on your model. And you want to make sure either smooth it in or revoxel the whole model, so you won't get that. But most of the times when you do that, I think sometimes, or it used to be, when you voxel with that color in, as far as a warning sign, it's the size of the other side has been pushed onto the other side. Get my drift. And it'll probably create a hole when you re-voxel it, which I don't think it happened. I just voxel it and then make the hole. But yeah, this definitely areas you gotta watch out for. Um, Now I'm doing the hair area. I did a mask the bottom half, so I have some hair sticking out. Like his chest is pretty thick. And I believe I had. You can see how it looks. I had a lower count, which was a little difficult to to sculpt and drag stuff out. Could have done this in a better way, but at a certain point, I was satisfied. I think it was good enough. I, I I believe I started with a sphere in the area. Um, Drag it out, and the rest is hidden inside the model. But the next video, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna show you how to prep. Having parts separate from the model using a. This is going to require a desktop program, and it's free. But to merge areas, without losing the details of your model, is basically prepping for 3D printing or something like this. I would say you'll have to um the word gate where it basically turned all the squares into triangles to a lower count in order to where I'm using um to do that task to a lower count in order to get in there and run smoothly, because I really don't have a power horse computer or desktop or anything like that. It's a low grade laptop. I'm gonna show you guys. Yeah, I'm keep going to areas till I'm satisfied, and there's been plenty of times with the arm area where I'm working on that little area with that muscle sticking out on the forearm. Because I try to check it on every angles, you know, some areas don't look like it should look, like it's flattened little dents in it, in certain areas, like a big area. I'm trying to get rid of it. And then the, areas too. And trying to clean that up first, the hair right there, so it won't look like, you know, it's a separate piece once it starts to print or printing. Back area, yeah, I had to go over many times over. I didn't have it correctly. There's a couple times I had to go back and then refix it or and rechange it because some areas look like it's, you know, even lower in the back, which, you know, is, I don't have the whole back in there. Yeah, so that area where I mask one area so I can have the edge on the other part of the shoulder to pop out more, to have that little crease of muscle. Areas like that, that's when you go to a higher count on the voxel remash, you're gonna lose it. It's gonna look very pixelated. So certain areas is like it was um there's no point of doing that because it was gonna do that. Or something like this is just like you can't do too much fine details like that. Which I didn't do in the face because I know I was gonna lose it. And when you go to a higher voxel count and try to do that, it was just gonna be very difficult to do that because it's not gonna sculpt how you want to sculpt. It is like it's very soft clay and not very taking in the finer details. Um, unless you use this other mode, which you have to move in very close to do the details in order to have that. But I didn't feel there had been a lot more work for us doing that, which might not show up in the print. I know with the 3D print machines, the resin ones, um, there's different resolutions. Um, obviously, I believe the ones with lower resolution, like 2K, is gonna be a lot more cheaper. I believe. Resins are like, oh, the resin 3D printers are like computers. It's so many. You might hear a lot certain brands a lot because it's more popular at the time or more, you know, I wouldn't say at the time, but you hear them a lot. But there's a lot, and there's some that is very pricey, like they using them, for dental and whatnot. But there's a lot of them out there. But specifically, I have a 4K. When you get to the 8K resolution printers, you might have detail. And here you goes, guys. Here you go. The final. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm trying to be more frequent with the videos. Share, comment, and like, subscribe. See you guys soon.